When you were, this is a question I've had from the start. When you originally went and were doing, was it called Billy Barnwell's? What was it originally called?
It was actually, we were doing Charlotte's Web.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it actually was Charlotte's Web.
It was Charlotte's Web. I was much younger, and I think I had just returned to acting after having given it up for years because I was, married and doing various things.
That's another show.
That's another show. That's the prequel to Billy Barnwell. But we were doing a 6-month tour of Charlotte's Web, going to elementary schools, libraries, church basements, nursing homes, and we had I think we carried our whole set in the back of an 8-passenger van. It was like 2 fence posts and a hay bale. And the costumes were sort of we had to keep sewing them together every, 3 or 4 days because they'd start falling apart. And it was a fairly low budget tour, but it was kind of magical in a sort of a crazy sense that these people were coming together. We'd get in a van every day and drive 2 hours to do a 45-minute show, and then get in the van and drive another hour to do an afternoon show at some other school across the state. And we did that for 6 months.
Jeez.
And the fact that any of us maintain our sanity.
I was going to say, are you going to have like some of the van shots? Because can you imagine like the dialogue that happened or the actions that happened in that van for 2 hours?
That's a lot of it. I mean, a lot of telling the story is the interactions between these people as they're learning each other and getting to know each other and finding out all their idiosyncrasies. And there's a lot of those. And so a lot of the drama really comes just from that being confined into that small space with strangers, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, so Brian, this is a very large project for you.
Yeah.
Will this be your largest film project?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
And I'm happy that we're moving on from horror.
Yeah.
And this is the
exciting.
opportunity to do it. It's a dark comedy. It's totally indie. I mean, like when people talk about Little Miss Sunshine and Black Swan being indie films, it's like, not really. This is indie. This is not as indie as it gets. But indie needs local support. Indie needs local food, needs so much help. I mean, $150,000 barely kind of like covers all the stuff that we need to do. We've got a 20 to 25 day shooting schedule, depending upon how I slice it. But, okay, you want to be able to make it worth everybody's while. And we're going to be really stretching it. I mean, I've done no budget stuff, and all it's like, hey, $150,000, you could do whatever you want. But it's like, yeah, but the expectations are going to be totally different.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of budgets and fundraising, you're using a really cool website called Kickstarter. So can you tell us a little bit about the concept of Kickstarter and maybe the URL and what potential investors get by being a part of the campaign?
Well, the URL, I don't know exactly what it is for Billy Barnwell, but you go to Kickstarter.com, look up Billy Barnwell, and that's where our teaser is. And what happens is it allows artists, you can be a writer, you can be a painter, a filmmaker, a musician, to do those projects that you always wanted to do, that you can't wait until some corporation's going to pay you or some giant fundraiser, but you go and you ask all of your friends to ask all of their friends and all of their friends, and if everybody chips in $5 or $10 or $30, actually somebody gave us $750 to help make this, and it all adds up, and in return you give things, you give DVDs, we're doing original artwork for this book that we're creating, and the original prints. If you give $1,000, I think that's the level where you get an original print from it. For the $750 level, that was if somebody out of town wanted to come, and you'll get put up at the Omni, you get to come to the premiere, you get to come to the party, you get to do all the whole big Hollywood spiel and wear your suit and walk on the red carpet. But it's really to make people part of the process. It's total grassroots film. So what happens is you go on, you watch the thing, you decide what you want to pledge, and about $5 gets you a thanks and a woo, yeah, anything. And so many people, actually a lot of the filmmakers that we work with have been just putting whatever. Actually, it's most of the people who can't afford it.
Yeah.
Have been giving us money.
But have great ideas that need to be dusted off and done.
And I think that's another pitch to that. As you mentioned, it's mainly friends, it's people who know us, people who have seen other things that we've done, who want to support and see us grow and continue making better films. But also, I mean, I think there are so many people in this community that we don't know who may have resources and want to be involved in production and filmmaking. And this is really a way, and again, it's our sort of our invitation to them to be involved in this, to support us, to become patrons of the art that we make and what we do.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's a good opportunity, I think, for people to be involved at whatever level they can afford and whatever level they feel comfortable contributing.
Right. And even if you don't have money to contribute, pass it on to your friends.
Right.
I mean, that's so important.
Yeah, it's all social networking. It's just like you might end up at somebody's cousin in Wisconsin who all of a sudden just like, oh, here, I'd love to help that. And I'm going to get something back for it. And it supports what's being made. And for here, it allows a fairly substantial production to be made locally and us to kind of have a pride in that about, wow, we just created a really kick-ass film. And the Kickstarter will only be raising $10,000. And that $10,000 helps us with pre-production, with casting and some other things. But it also allows us to launch a little bit larger investor campaign, and that's where we'll raise the $150,000. And that's like, you know, somebody gives us $10,000 and they get a portion of the movie. So you get, you know, when the movie gets sold, you get a portion of it.
Right.
So that's sort of the next tier, and that's what will happen probably the next month afterward.
Is Kickstarter's maximum 10,000?
No.
Or is that just a strategic choice for you?
You can. Some people raise $100,000 to make a whole movie. It was just to say, what could we potentially do? And I don't know if we're going to make it. I mean, really. I mean, you're watching this thing, and it's anxiety producing, because there's a lot of, I don't know. People are like, oh, okay, I'll get to that and whatever, and it's something that means everything to you,
right.
And so you keep. Oh, why didn't they respond? All they have to do is watch it. All I have to do is just say, oh, thanks, or pass it on to somebody. It takes 2 seconds of your time, and it means everything to us. But it's just like, how do you motivate people? Because everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Everybody else is bothering them about stuff on the internet and sending them emails. And it's, you know, for us, this is the biggest thing that we will have done in film, and it's the biggest thing we're going to do this year.
But we've got some ideas to motivate people.
Yeah.
We've got 22 days left.
Right.
And that's the other thing about Kickstarter. The catch is, if you don't make your goal in the 30 days or the 60 days that you allot, you don't get any of it. So if we raise $9,500 on that 30th day, but we don't get the other 500, we don't get any of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
But I've got 2 kidneys, so I'm
2 healthy kidneys.
You know.
They're only worth $495.
We're running out of time, so 2 things I want to ask. And Brian, in a nutshell, as a director, what's your vision for this awesome story, which I love? Can't wait to see it.
I mean, it's dark comedy. It's really showing the gritty underbelly. When you see a show that comes to the Paramount, and it's The Princess and the Pea, and you're whatever, you're like, you see it come on, you're like, who are those people who take their lives and they're going on the road, and what is it like beyond? But it isn't that nice thing that's on stage, that wonderful world and morality show that they're doing. The people that are behind it are real people and often have even more baggage than you and I can imagine. And to say, what is it like to throw all those people together and then try to come out and put your smiles on and go out and show kids how wonderful things can be. And then you go home, you go, we didn't get paid, and we're staying.
That's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that stuff that happens after the curtain comes down.
And I was really interested in Brian, as a director, partly because, well, he's the only director I know, but also because the other stuff that I've worked on with him, that I've been able to do with him, Brian has this sort of, he's got there's a darkness to what he does that's also pretty exuberant, and it's sort of that celebration of that dark part that we often don't want to acknowledge, but that really is what makes our lives interesting and meaningful. And I really thought he would do a good job bringing that to it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be.
You guys will do really well. And is there a place that people can go? We know that there's Kickstarter. Is there a Facebook page or a website, or
we're pulling together a website, a WordPress site, and there is a Facebook page that we haven't really populated yet.
Is it a Billy Barnwell Facebook page?
Yeah, it's a Billy Barnwell Facebook page.
And
there will be start looking at that.
And there's going to be a Billy Barnwell, as you mentioned, a Billy Barnwell blog page where we're going to update with stories of things that are happening, updates about casting, and just notes about what it's like to try to make a truly independent film and see what people think.
It's a great idea.
We can't wait to watch it unfold.
Great idea.
Can't wait to be a sheep in your film. the non-existent cow. But anyway, good luck, you guys.
Bipolar sheep.
Oh, a bipolar sheep. That's my
Exactly.
favorite. Anyway. It's not about me. Thank you guys for coming to the show.
Thank you
and
for having
welcome. Good luck. Good luck. I want you to raise that money. And viewers out there, you can invest in film. How cool is that? You guys can look in that camera.
Oh,
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.com and search the word Billy Barnwell's favorite friends.
great.
Great.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Have a great day, great night, and spread the good word.